Welcome to Mastering La Vida, your podcast review. I'm your host, Sue. You can now start following us on Instagram, #Mastering La Vida. Let us know what you think about the podcast. You guys can comment and also make suggestions for our next episodes. Welcome back to another episode of Mastering La Vida. Today is a very special day. I am going to be interviewing my first guest. He is a military retiree currently under treatment for PTSD. But before I introduce him, I wanted to talk a little bit so we can understand what is PTSD. Post-traumatic stress disorder is a mental health condition that is triggered by a terrifying event. It might occur in people who have experienced or witnessed a traumatic event, such as a natural disaster, a serious accident, a terrorist act, war, combat, rape, or who have been treated with death, sexual violence, or serious injury. PTSD has been known by many names in the past, such as shell shock during the years of World War I and combat fatigue after World War II. But PTSD does not just happen to combat veterans. PTSD can occur in all people of any ethnicity, nationality, or culture, and at any age. 1 in every 3 veterans suffer from signature wounds such as traumatic brain injury. And what are the symptoms? Symptoms might include flashbacks, nightmares, and severe anxiety. They might feel sadness, fear, or anger, and they might feel detached or estranged from other people. Post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms might start within 1 month of a traumatic event, but sometimes symptoms might not appear until years later. These symptoms cause significant problems in social or work situations and in relationships. They can also interfere with your ability to go about your normal daily tasks. That being said, let me introduce you to my guest. His name is John Wayne Thomas. He is a U.S. retired surgeon first class, currently living in Killeen, Texas. He has been through difficult situations in life and is currently going through treatments that are part of a research study funded by the Department of Defense of the United States for PTSD. Hi, John.
Hello, Sue. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Welcome to Mastering La Vida. I am so grateful to have you here.
It's good to be here.
Thank you for letting me interview you. This interview's only purpose is to explain how you are overcoming PTSD, what has helped you, and how others who might be experiencing the same situation can also find the help that they need.
Okay. I'm ready to be interviewed, and I'm excited to be here.
Thank you so much.
But one thing is, I live in Nolanville. It's just 15 minutes away from Killeen, but it's part of Bell County. It's right here.
We're all in one.
Yeah, it's all one big community.
How are you feeling today?
I feel pretty good.
That's great. So let's start by asking you one of the first questions that I think that most of the people will be probably wanting to know. How do you find out that you had PTSD?
Well, I came back from Iraq in 2005 after my first deployment, which was in Sadr City, Iraq. And we had to do reintegration training. And part of the reintegration training is you go through different stations. And one of them was behavioral health. And part of the questionnaire is you fill out a whole bunch of questions. And I was identified as having some issues. So I had a follow-up appointment. And once I went to my follow-up appointment, that's when I was diagnosed after multiple appointments with chronic PTSD.
So basically, you needed to fill out information about how you were feeling, and They described that you were presenting certain problems with it?
Correct.
How long did it take for you to get help after you realized you were experiencing PTSD?
Well, there is a stigma in the military. Well, there was, I don't know if there still is, being retired for now going almost 6 years now, that, you just didn't go to behavioral health. And it took me 6 years before I finally went. And I didn't want to go, but I was directed to go after I had a serious panic attack when I was stationed up in Fort Richardson, Alaska. And my first sergeant's like, "You're going to go." And I was like, "I'm not going to go. I'm not going to look weak in front of my soldiers. I'm a leader. I'm a senior NCO. I'm not going to do it." He's like, "No, you're going to go." And it happened to be the best thing that could have been done for me.
It was a big step for you to take that decision, realizing that everybody else was going to look at you differently.
It was a gigantic step.
Yeah.
It wasn't just huge. It was gigantic. I mean, it was like climbing the Empire State Building like King Kong. climbing that thing.
Do you feel good that forced you to do that?
I felt good that he, at first, no, I was defiant, of course, because of that stigma. But afterwards, I found out once I got there that I really needed to be there because after the multiple 4 back-to-back, I said that right, deployments. She had the therapist said, hey, you never had a break and your body, your mind is just broken. Because your mind never had a chance to decompress. Basically, what it was is what she said. So
and process everything.
Mm-hmm.
What would you tell people that are experiencing something like what you're going through? How will you encourage them to go find that help?
Seek it. It's just like every mission. When you go on a mission, you're given an op order. If you're retired or if you're still on active duty, just get the help. That stigma, from what I've seen most of the time now, is it's not out there. I mean, there's even officers. I mean, there's general officers that are coming out and saying, hey, I have a problem now. Your life's more important than your career, especially if you have problems. That's what I say. Just get help because you only have one life.
How do you find out about the program that you're taking?
I found out about this program through actually one of my old bosses. His name is Alan Hahn, and he was my battle major in my deployment to Baghdad in OIF 910. And he went through the program and he's like, hey, this program would be pretty beneficial for you. And I was like, okay. And at first I was not having it.
Convinced.
I was not. Something else happened in my life. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. And so I did. And it's an amazing study.
There are 2 treatments that you're currently taking, or did you finish them?
I finished both of them, both treatments. And now let me just interject right here. I have been diagnosed with an issue. Well, it's not an issue. It's a medical terminology condition for why I have a problem speaking. So I'll just put this out here right now. It's called word memory problem. It's a complex issue that is very frustrating to live with. Many people with combat-related PTSD struggle with concentration and attention issues. TBI, sleep difficulties, and other medical conditions can also contribute. There can be many causes for word-finding problems. So during this interview, I mean, if you hear me struggling, this is another part of the issue with deploying to a combat zone and having PTSD and TBI. So with that said, and I do get lost in thought at times. It's a continuing program that I'm still in, but I did finish 2 of the major treatments. Thank you. Which is probably going to lead into your next question, I'm sure.
Yeah. So the programs are TMS and CPT, right?
Right. And the TMS is the magnetic
stimulation.
Yeah, stimulation. Yeah. And the cognitive processing therapy. And, and what I would do is I would refer you to a Google search, and the cognitive processing therapy by BetterHelp is very informative. I mean, it breaks it down and it will open your eyes to a lot, especially if you're going through PTSD. This therapy, cognitive processing therapy is just, it's amazing. But that one that I said, BetterHelp on Google, is a great tool.
Do you experience any side effects after TMS and CPT?
No, I haven't. Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
So no.
Like,
side effects. Because sometimes when you take medication, some medications can give you side effects. So
right.
With this treatment, you have
there's no medication with this treatment at all. The only thing, when they do the TMS, I mean, you get 1,800 thumps on your frontal lobe. I counted it. I was the only one to ever count. I was like, you sit there in a chair for 30 minutes. I'm like, what else do I have to do? And so the technician is like, you're the first one that's ever done that.
Do you want to explain a little bit, like, how is the process when you arrive there and what exactly they do? Sure.
Obviously, especially now during COVID, you check in, they take your temperature. The doctor will come up and get me. I'll go down. What they do is they sit you in a chair. First, little conversation. Then there'll be a questionnaire. Since your last appointment, they'll be like, have you had any falls? Have you done this? Have you done that? Any major difficulties in your life, such as, a loss in your life, or anything like that. It's like, there'll be like 3 different pages that they'll give you that you have to fill out. And then obviously with this also is part of it is there's a urinalysis because, they don't want people taking drugs, and that's part of the questionnaire also.
Yeah.
And if you are on certain medications, especially for the TMS, they don't want you taking certain medications because it can cause seizures. So I was on a certain medication and I was told, that I had to stop it, which I did. Because that medication would have caused seizures, and I didn't want to have seizures, obviously. So, but there's no medication that they give you. You sit down in a chair, they put a cap over your head. At first, they put the cap, then they'll measure. They'll put little arrows, to make sure the fitting is done right, and then sit there and they put the magnet and then a clamp, and basically it's almost like a press, and they tighten it up, and you just sit there, and then the technician's like, "You ready?" And you're like, "Yes or no." And at first, I'll make it a little comical. At first, I thought it was going to be like, Magneto from X-Men.
Feeling it.
Like, okay, no, I thought I was going to get this metal helmet, but that wasn't the case, they're very kind, great people. It's an amazing, amazing team that they have up there.
Do you feel
but you do feel the thumps. You feel
okay.
1,800 thumps.
Wow.
So yeah. And I would sing songs, 1,800 bottles of beer on the wall, and count backwards, or I just imagine things, or I just start counting or do whatever, because, it's 12 weeks of that right there. The TMS and 12 weeks of the CPT.
So you are driving to your appointments every week?
Every week.
And this is in Dallas, Texas?
Yes, in Dallas. Yes.
It's like a 3-hour drive.
Yeah, it's a drive. It is at UT Dallas. Well, it's part of UT Dallas is what it is. And actually, I wrote it down so I wouldn't mess it up. So it's at UT Dallas, and it's part of it's called the Collier Center, and it's UT Southwestern. They sister is what they do, and it's at a children's development center for the hearing impaired is what it is. And there's elderly people there also, but it's a different section, because one of the things I did have a problem with was part of my PTSD. Sue, is screaming kids. I could not be in an environment with that.
It's stressful.
It's very stressful. And I told her that, and she's like, okay, that was one of the things they made sure that when I would check in, that they were right there right away to get me checked in and just take me another way. Cause there's 2 different ways you can go in the building. Okay. And so, they were very, very, I'm
glad my children are not at home right now.
Yeah, no, you have very good kids. I love them.
So how long were your treatments? Were both of them done at the same time?
Yes, they're back to back. You'll do the first is the TMS. And then after that, like, hey, you want to take a break? And I'm like, not really. I just want to drink of water, and then just get me right in there, 'cause they have to work the schedule too, because they have other ones also because of the drive also, because it's an all day process. It's like, it takes about, if you think about it, it's like 6 hours, 7-8 hours out of my day because I'm leaving. Let's just say a typical day for that is I leave about, sometimes I would have an appointment at 8:30 in the morning, but you know what, Sue, let's backtrack because this is very important. Okay. I used to stay the night at a friend's house, in Dallas, but something came up, and I realized something about somebody, someone's significant other, if you would say. Okay. And it just irritated me, and it kept irritating me. Instead of ruining a friendship, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to stay there no more. So I used to stay the night up there, and I would just, go to my appointment.
Because the appointments so much easier. Early in the morning.
Because they're 8:30 in the morning. Yeah. So what I was doing was I'd have to get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. Well, I go to the gym anyways at 4 o'clock.
He box.
And I box and I kickbox for, just to get a lot of my frustration out and whatnot. And it's great for PTSD also, to get a lot of that out. So then I do my workout, and then obviously take a shower. Don't want to go up there stinky. And then I go up there and I do my treatment. And so it's an all day process because it's a 2.5 hour drive. It's just past the American Airlines Arena is where it's at. But with that
downtown,
said,
right?
Yeah, just past downtown. So you got to think is my appointment's at 8 o'clock in the morning, or sometimes it'd be at 10 o'clock, whatever it was. And I wouldn't get home till like 5, 6 o'clock at night. So it's an all day. So yeah, it's very long. So yeah, but
worth it.
It's worth it.
That's good.
So well worth it. And most importantly is it's about the team. I call it the team because it's a teamwork. They have more than just
One person
working at. You see your therapist, you see another therapist in between after 1 month or 2 months, then you see another therapist, and then you go over a 200-page questionnaire. So it's very lengthy and it's very informative.
So that drives me to my next question, which is like, not everybody is eligible for this program. As you were mentioning before,
Right.
If you're taking certain medications, you are not allowed to join the program. But how can someone be eligible?
To be eligible for this program, you have to be an OIF, OEF, or OND veteran who has been experienced combat and suspects combat-related PTSD, and is from the age of 18 to age 60. For medication-wise, they just ask you not to take your medication, to be off of it, which would be pretty hard for some. You got to think, it just depends on what kind of medication you're taking. If you're going to be able to, because some people can't be off their medication. But I'll backtrack on one thing. When you do your interview process, it's almost like an interview because it is almost 8 hours of a questionnaire
to make sure
that you're
okay.
to be eligible for this program. And because they'll go over your medical, they go all the way back to your childhood with this. When I say that, eligibility wise, is they want to make sure that they don't want to put you in the TMS because of your medications. If you can't come off that medication, then you can harm yourself or harm somebody else. But you can still do the cognitive part. And you can do the EEG.
So there's still a way to help you.
There's still a way to help you. They're not going to say, no, you're not eligible because you can't do the TMS. Okay. But they'll say if you're eligible for both or one. So, yeah.
That's very interesting and good to know, to let people know that they still can go there and try to get the help. Correct. And then based on the questionnaires, and I'm pretty sure there's therapies and psychology and everybody involved.
Oh, yes. There's a panel. There's a panel that will look over your whole packet, and it's almost like a voting, basically. But they will go over your packet and say, yes, we deem him eligible or not eligible for this program.
John, are you going to have to repeat any treatments?
I won't have to repeat the TMS or the CPT, but I am still in this program right now because it's a 12-month study is actually what it is. I just did an EEG, and I'm sure you have that written down because I did not write down actually what it is.
Yes, John, I did wrote it down. Electroencephalography, or an electrocephalogram, is a test that detects electrical activity in your brain using small metal discs. Those are the electrodes, and they are attached into your scalp. And then your brain cells will communicate via electro impulses. It has been shown to represent the microscopic activity of the surface layer of the brain underneath, and it is typical non-invasive with electrodes placed along the scalp.
And I just did one just a few weeks ago, and then I'll have another one coming up in 6 months. In August, I have another appointment in August, and then I'll have another one after that, and then be complete with the actual program.
So that actually is how they measure, it's a machine that they put in your brain to basically read.
Right. It's actually, it's almost like if you want to say like a hairnet, if you want to say, we'll say, it has sensors. And then they give me like a little, what do you call it? A controller. And then I'll have to view a screen, and then they'll give me a scenario of like, if push the button when you see a dog, and only when you see the dog. And then there'll be another scenario. When you hear this sound, push it only when you hear this sound. But they'll warn me, like, you might see like, traumatic events from like, you might hear sounds of, bullets, from when you were downrange and stuff like that. So, I mean, they'll make sure that they let you know what's going on, and they don't just throw you in.
Scanning. It's a scanner, basically.
Yeah, correct. Right. They don't just throw you with the wolves and say, hey, here you go. Here's a remote, and just go for it. So they'll tell you each scenario. And there's 7 different scenarios, 5 to 7 scenarios that they'll go through. And it gets very frustrating at times. And I've used a couple French words, a few, and I try to be very professional because, one of my daughters, she's a lady. And so I try to be very professional because they're sitting behind me, and I'm like, French fries, Yes.
So you're done with your treatments, and you mentioned to me that they gave you some surveys that you needed to complete.
Yes.
And the surveys basically are to make sure that the process or the treatments that you were taking are working.
Yes.
So it's kind of like the same questions you have.
It's the same questions, basically, like from when you first do the first interview, if you want to call it that, to see if you have had any changes, to make sure there's, they basically haven't been unwiring your brain, because that's basically what they're trying to do. This whole process is try to rewire your brain from PTSD. That's what this whole process is. This therapy is. And so that's what these questionnaires are, or to make sure that they're not, tinkering with some wires that, can cross something and jar something that they don't want,
Well, what would be, for your personal experience, what's the change you've seen since you started the treatment?
One of the biggest changes is I can tolerate screaming kids a little more. I can stand in line in places which I wasn't able to do before. Go places that I wasn't able to go before.
For example,
crowded places.
Not that we're doing that so much.
Yeah, we're not really doing it that much today, but because I did start this treatment, during COVID. Yeah. But once they started opening up places, like saying going down to the outlets or going to the mall, it was a little difficult for me. I would have to make sure that, I was constantly on guard. That was one of the things. I was constantly on guard. I mean, I'm still, or they would say hypervigilant. Okay. I mean, I never let my guard down, I mean, it's just my nature, to be for people years.
For people that doesn't know you or don't know that you have that problem, and I have known you for now almost 3 years.
Yes.
And like, I will never say that you had any problems. He is like the party person. He's so happy and always showing the best of you.
Right.
So someone that doesn't deeply know what you're going through might think that you are completely fine.
Right. And it's like, I say it's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I wear my mask, but, you really don't know what's underneath, somebody. So just be kind. Yeah. Because you don't know what kind of day that person's having.
What's going on. That's good. I am very happy to hear that your treatment is doing really good. And I hope that it will continue that way. So that leads me to that same question I started again. So what about if you go through this again? Are you able to go back and say, I need more help?
I never asked that question, but from my old boss, I've seen him change. I've seen him do a 180. I mean, he was just an arrogant. Okay. He was, and he's calmed down a lot. He has. I mean, he still has we still have our little
human parts,
our human quirks. I mean, it's just still there. You can't fix everything. You can't tinker with the brain. You just can't. There's still things there.
Things. Yes.
Right.
It's the same thing. I practice meditation, and it's the same thing. It has helped me change, but every now and then the tiger wants to come out.
Yeah. The lioness comes out, it comes out in you.
Mine is a tiger.
And mine is a gorilla. So, yeah. But no, I mean, I'm sure, like, if I said, hey, I need, because like when I was doing the cognitive processing therapy, if I was having a problem with one of my assignments, because they give you actual assignments. I forgot to add that. It's not you just show up. I mean, they actually give you homework, and that's no joke. I mean, it's like, yes. I mean, you have to write an essay, and then they give you worksheets that basically, that you have to do. And then the therapist will go over them with you. And it is very, very, very detailed. And if I didn't get something, they give you their number, you could call or whatnot. And I went to go and visit my mom. And I was like, man, how are they going to assign me something? I'm going to go see my mom and everything. I was like, they're crazy. I'm not going to do this. But they're not, no, you're going to have to do this. And I was like, well, it's part of the therapy. But they'll give you extra sessions. Like if you need help, they will give you extra sessions during that cognitive therapy process. The doctor, she's a hoot.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure because it's actually a study also that they're doing. So they want to find out if it's actually working
it's actually working,
the people who's taking it. So are you currently taking any medications for depression or anxiety? Or
I do. I do. I take, for anxiety, I take Valium. And then I take Topamax. And Topamax, it's for my PTSD. But if you look up Topamax, it says it's for like headaches, it's for this, it's for that. But any drug, I should say legal drug or prescribed drug can be used for different, ailments, shall we say. And then I also use Lunesta to help me sleep, because if not, I can't sleep. Okay. And also I use a CPAP machine to help me sleep. Because if I don't take a sleeping pill, I could stay up for 2 days, 3 days. The longest I've ever stayed up was 3 days. So I have to sleep. Obviously, we need to sleep. Sleep deprivation is not a good thing.
It's not. How does a good day and a bad day look for you?
A good day, I guess I didn't have to use my AK, as as the old song would say. But a good day is gotta make me think. Just going through the day. Just thinking, try not to think of, the bad things that happen, down during my deployments.
Is there anything you do on that day whenever you want to, like, okay, I'm going to have a good day today? What is it exactly that you will try to do that day to make it good? Is there anything?
Well, honestly, no, to be honest with you. I mean, you just take,
But you do go boxing.
I do. Yeah. I'll get up, and go boxing, kickboxing. That just starts my day. That's my zen, if you want to say. Yeah. That's my zen. That's how I start my day. And then we'll see where it goes from there.
Do you feel like if you miss it a day, do you feel?
Oh yeah, I feel it.
You feel
Trust me.
Like
I feel like
the day's not going to go that good.
I should have went.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I didn't feel it. There's times where, which will probably lead into your next question. If I don't feel it, I don't feel it.
Yeah.
It's a bad day. I'm not going to go because I'm not going to put nothing into it.
Okay.
Which I have a lot of bad days. More bad than good.
More bad than good.
Mm-hmm.
But the treatment has helped you to have more better days. Better days. But, I have a psychologist that I see here. And, I'm not going to knock this therapy because it's amazing, But we all have, certain things that happen in our life, in our path, in our journey. And one little thing can just wreck everything. And with that being said, every day is a hard day for me. And so I wake up in the morning, something's on my mind, and it's on my mind all through the day. So that thing that happened, if I didn't have PTSD from that. Combat.
Yeah, from combat, right. I mean, what happened, I'd have PTSD from it also. So, so every day is a struggle for me. Every day is.
So what keeps you going?
I have a family. I have another son, Another thing is, as I always say, when questioned, do you feel like committing suicide? They always ask you that. A lot of them say, and I look at them, back in the day, I would say yes, but,
I just some say, friends that.
Yeah, I've had quite a few friends. I've had quite a few friends that have taken their lives.
From the military
that I deployed with, which is very sad. But going back to what makes me what keeps me going is I want to hear the words Grandpa.
You do.
No time soon. But if it happens, it's a blessing. It's a blessing from God, But because my oldest son's only 24, and so is his wife. So I
do happen to know him, and they are trying to create a beautiful family.
Yes. So, but I'm ready, but that's what I want to hear. That's what me and my wife want to hear. We want to hear those beautiful words, Grandpa, Grandma. So that's what keeps us going.
That's great. That's beautiful work. One day I'll hear it too. Jen, is there any message you would like to leave to your audience today? I know you have a quote. One life, live it, love it, and cherish it.
That's right. Live it, love it, cherish it. You only got one life. Yeah. Tomorrow's not promised. That's something that I add to that, and don't be afraid to get help. Fight the inner beast that's in you that says I don't need to get help. I don't need to get help. Get help. Active or not active, civilian, whatever, get help. Some people don't even know that they have certain issues, or I won't say issues, chronic medical problems, because there's no such thing as an issue. You make it an issue if you want it. So my message to you all would be to get help, seek help, because not can it only just save your life, but it can save the life of others. That's what I would say.
Thank you for being here again. And how can people follow you? I know that based on your Instagram, because I do follow you, you actually like to help a lot of people and try to cheer them up every day by letting them know that you're experiencing the same thing and you're there for them. So how can my listeners go and follow you and get involved with your life?
I have an Instagram page that I do my messages on, and it is, it is the_Duke_71.
And I will add that to the description of the podcast so people can see it as well.
Right.
Give you a shout out through your DM.
Like daily message. I mean, I'm on there most of the time, but this is sometimes it's difficult for me when I have my days. When I'm having a hard day, it is really hard. And once you get onto my page, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's just hard for me to share what I'm talking about out there. But once you get on my page, then you'll be able to see what actually happened in my life. So I wish you all good luck, seek help, and it's out there. You just have to want it.
Thank you again for being here in the podcast and for letting me interview you.
Thank you, Sue, for having me.
If you have disturbing thoughts and feelings about a traumatic event for more than a month, if they are severe, or if you feel you're having trouble getting your life back under control, talk to your doctor or a mental health professional. Getting treatment as soon as possible can help prevent PTSD symptoms from getting worse. Thank you for listening to my first interview. I hope that some of John's experiences and all of the information he shared with us can be helpful to you or anyone you know that might need it. When you have the privilege of changing someone's brain, you are not only changing his or her life, but you have the opportunity to change generations to come. And like John says, live it, love it, and cherish it. Until next time.